Yes. Good morning, everybody. It's the 11th of February, Valentine's Day week. We all survived the blizzard of 2013. When I start complaining about how much snow we got, I don't know, 8 or 10 inches, whatever we got here in the Finger Lakes region, I think of my good friends down there or up there in Boston, Mass. What about 2.5 feet of snow? So I guess everything is relative. So, we can complain about all the bad weather we had with that storm. And the meteorologists, I pick on them all the time. They were right about that one. The storm did hit us in the Finger Lakes, but not as bad as Connecticut and Massachusetts and New York City got clobbered. But we got lots to talk about this morning. But first off, there's an event taking place at the New York Chiropractic College, which is used to having great events hosted there. There's a program called the I'm Possible President's Day Basketball Clinic, which will be held a week from today. It starts on the 18th of February through the 22nd at NYCC. And I was reading about the article, and I thought I would talk to the gentleman or one of the gentlemen involved in this program. His name is Richard Hill. Richard joins us via phone this morning. Richard, welcome to Weber on Sports.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Richard, give us an idea a little bit about the program, when it got started, how long you've been doing this, and what is your particular role involved in the clinic?
Well, I'm the AAU Boys and Girls Chairperson in the Niagara District.
Okay.
And I run an AAU basketball program in the area. And last year we did a small clinic at the Chiropractic College around Christmas time. And we decided this year to try to make it a little bit bigger and do something a little bit on the President's Day week, the week the kids were off. So I've went down to Raleigh, North Carolina over Christmas break. My kids lived there. And we discovered a guy by the name of Micah Lancaster, who's actually the president of I'm Possible. So what we done was we did some investigative work, found out what those people were about, what they do in terms of running camps and clinics, and got really excited about it and thought, wow, this would be great to bring to the Finger Lakes region. So I got in contact with the folks at that organization and found out that they were willing to come here that particular week and were available. So that's how we got hooked up with them. And Bryce is coming, and he's excited about it as well.
Now, Bryce Stanhope is mentioned as he will be in attendance. He's NBA skills coach. Certainly, the clinic includes basically what the write-up said, includes conditioning and skill work in age or skill appropriate. So do I take that as the host of this interview to think that you or some of the committee members who involved in the camp will split up the kids based on their skill sets?
That's correct. What Bryce will do is based on looking at it and evaluating the levels of kids, he will probably do a demonstration first showing them how advanced they could become, and then at that particular point, he'll probably gear it toward that particular child's age, because we have a wide range in terms of age. We go all the way up to ninth grade, allowing them to come this particular time. So he'll look at that and he'll evaluate what the level is, and we'll split them up. Well, there's probably about 6 clinicians besides Bryce that'll be there helping, and then after he shows what he wants the kids to try to do, the particular group, then they'll actually break up, and he'll probably just wander around and say, no, you're doing this right, or I want you to do it a different way, that type of thing.
So for parents that have a daughter or son that love the game of basketball, this is a perfect situation for them.
Awesome. It's going to be awesome. Like I said, most of the people that are signing up for it at this particular time, they'll put in their verbiage. My daughter or my son's really excited. I mean, the video basically is true to form in terms of what these gentlemen have done with this program. And like I said, Bryce will demonstrate basically what they see on the video in terms of skill work, and then, like I said, they'll tailor it to the child's skill level. But they're going to be really, really excited and pumped up. I believe they take on the world when they leave this clinic.
The obvious question in talking to people over the weekend that you were coming on via telephone for the Weber on Sports Show, when I was reviewing some of the material that I was going to go over with you this morning, I mentioned that it's open to boys and girls, grades 4 to 9. The question obviously was asked, why 4 to 9 and why not grades 10, 11, and 12?
We excluding the 10, 11, and 12 because many times what happens is those kids are still involved in playing their high school seasons.
Gotcha.
And we tend to stay away from those type of players that are still involved in the high school sports. Obviously, we wouldn't want to put them in a situation where
good point.
They came in and did something, screwed up a finger trying to do a drill or hurt an ankle or any of that kind of stuff. And now, especially with the playoffs and sectionals just around the corner, you don't want the players to do those type of things. Most of the varsity coaches or high school coaches tend to ask their kids to shy away from those type of things until after the season's over. And we respect those wishes. And if I was a high school coach, that would be my wishes as well, to have my player take part in those extra curricular things after our season is over. Don't do anything to jeopardize your playoff season.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Richard Hill is via the phone. We thank him for calling in this morning. By the way, this basketball clinic takes place next week. It is being entitled Central Western AAU. They're going to host the I'm Possible President's Day basketball clinic starting next Monday, the 18th, and running for a period of about, 5 days, Richard?
Yes, 5 days. Bryce will be there Monday through Wednesday, and then what will happen on Thursday and Friday is the clinicians that are there helping all week will split the kids into groups, and then what we will do is skill work in the morning, and then in the afternoon we'll actually try to put some of that skill work to the test. We'll probably do some like 3-on-3 or some 5-on-5 type of thing to kind of finish the clinic up.
Well, it sounds like a great program. And by the way, the cost is $150 per person. Now, I assume, does that include food or they have to bring their own lunches, et cetera?
No, they have to bring their own lunches and they have to also bring their own basketball.
Okay. I like that. Bring your own basketball and bring your food if you're going to eat. Obviously, they want to eat. These kids, I'm sure, want to eat between ages grades 4 and 9. So now they can register, since your deadline for registration is this coming Friday the 15th. They can register. Go over it with me. It's www.centralwestern.org, right?
That's correct. That's absolutely correct.
So they can go on there and they can apply their payment or at least sign up and then forward their payment to be sure that they're part of the program. And so if they have any other information, the website, or they can go onto that and it'll give them some more overview.
That's correct.
Good. Well, it sounds like a great program, and it sounds like, I guess, if you have a child between in the grades 4 to 9 and they have a love for basketball, and a lot of kids do, as you know, better than anybody. I think this is a great opportunity during their off week to spend some time learning some skills, some conditioning. It's all got to be positive in my view.
That's correct. That's correct.
Well, so listen, we wish you nothing but the best, and we'll get a hold of you after the event next week and find out how it all went. So we really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule.
All right, thank you.
All right, Richard Hill joining us this morning, ladies and gentlemen, here on Weber on Sports. Thanks, Richard. Here on a Monday, the 11th of February. Again, the NBA skills coach will be in attendance there as well a couple days next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. A gentleman named Bryce Stanhope. So, again, if you've got a child, daughter, son, grades 4 to 9, they dig the game of basketball, they have an inkling to enjoy the game, they want to learn a little bit more about the skill sets, the conditioning, what a perfect opportunity. $150 for a 5-day clinic is only $30 a day, so it seems like it's a very appropriate price. If you're interested, again, I'll give you the website. It is www.centralwestern.org. Let me do that again. It is www.centralwestern.org. To get into this clinic, which will be at the college, New York Chiropractic College, starting next Monday, you must have your payment in by Friday this week, February 15th. So again, thanks to Richard Hill for joining us here on Weber on Sports. And again, this show is made possible by a lot of friends and a great bunch of sponsors have been with me, in some cases, 25 to 30 years. Let's check them out right now. Welcome back, everybody. It's the dog with you in the kennel, Weber on Sports Edition. Hope you're checking us out here, and we really appreciate you being a regular viewer / listener of this show, because without you, it wouldn't be worth doing this show. Hey, let's talk about some other sports topics, and of course, we'll get away from the world of sports. As I told you, we are kind of expanding this show, changing the format a little bit. We're going to be opening it up to politicians, charitable events, you name it. May not have anything to do with the world of sports. We're going to try to mix the bag up this year in 2013. Obviously, I will still have some slams like I always do in the world of sports, but we'll also give people an opportunity to come in here, get their message across. And so stay tuned for future guests, which may have absolutely nothing to do with the crazy world of sports. Hey, speaking of that, how about the big news on the Pope, huh? Pope Benedict. First time in over 700 years that a Pope is resigning. Effective February 28th, big news this morning, couldn't believe it. Over 700 years. Now they're going to get all the cardinals to get to Rome and the Vatican City and do their cardinal conclave. I guess I don't know all the procedures involving on picking a pope, but I do believe there's the black smoke that billows, meaning there's no decision, and then the white smoke means they finally decided on who's going to be the next pope taking over for Pope Benedict. So that's the big news. And it'll be very interesting who will get the next job as leader of the Catholic Church. I must share a quick story about the Pope, too. But I may have already told you this before on the show, but I'm always kind of laughing to myself about, I'm a Catholic. Okay, I admit that. I'm a Catholic, and I'm proud of it. But I got to tell you, I have to be honest about the Pope and their decision-making, because when I was 12 or 13 years old, that was going back to 1957, 58-ish. You remember that? If you're old enough to remember the 50s. And I remember taking religious instructions, and I remember being told that eating meat on Friday was a mortal sin. Remember that? And that meant you went right to hell, no pass needed. Adios, amigo. You're going to burn to the day forever because you ate a hot dog or a hamburger on a Friday. You guys and ladies checking me out this morning must remember that. It was a mortal sin. I had a hot dog at the St. Patrick's Bazaar. Yes, on that lawn to the left of the church. As you look at the churches on the left-hand side, they would have their little booth set up and their games to try to raise money for the St. Pat's. I remember like it happened yesterday. As I approached 68, so what are we talking about? I was, 12? Let's see, 68. Wow, that's 56 years ago. And it remembers it like it happened. Of course, always have to go against the rules of life. So what do I do with a buddy? We grab a hot dog. And I'm always wondering about that. They must have had hot dogs for non-Catholics back then because they were cooking them. And I went behind a tree with a buddy of mine. We sucked down this hot dog with a little mustard on there. It was not a Hoffman, if I remember correctly. Little did I know, I was brought up by a stepfather, Joe Marapice, who was just a brutal, nice guy. He was a brutal disciplinarian. He believed in the laws, So somebody blew me in and said that I was seen eating a hot dog. It was a mortal sin to have a meat on Friday. I got whipped. I got beaten to a pulp. And now you can't look at a kid. There's an attorney in the principal's office at 5. Back then in the 50s, we got killed, and nobody ever said anything about us. But I got beaten to a pulp for eating meat on Fridays. As I couldn't sit down for like a week and a half, all of a sudden I turned on TV, 3, 5, and 9, if you remember. We didn't have cable like we did today. And oh, by the way, it was black and white. Announcement out of Vatican City. True story. The Vatican City, the Pope has decided that you can eat meat on Fridays. Jim's too young to remember that, but that's a true story. It was a mortal sin for a zillion years to eat meat on Fridays. But all of a sudden, the Pope decided it was okay. I truly remember that, and I know you're probably laughing at me now because you remember it as well. So I kind of got a little shaky about the Pope, I got beaten to a pulp for eating meat on Fridays, a hot dog. And the hot dog wasn't that good, sorry. So I just thought I'd throw that in. That is a true story. Hey, what's true, maybe Doogie Marrone knew what was going on. The guy that I always pick on, and I'll probably pick on him as the Bills coach, you can bet on that. But, Doogie, with this SU program, I was lambasting him the last few years, and, they started off 2-4 last year, and I was making fun of them, having a lot of laughs here, picking on Jim's alma mater, taking shots at Rod Verke and burying these guys about how bad the Orange are in football. But turned it around, won another Pinstripe Bowl, crushed Geno Smith and the Mountaineers, 8-5. Things are good. All of a sudden, Doogie gets rumor has it, about a $500,000 raise a year. They're not paying him $5-6 million a year to coach the Gills. But he decided to go west and try his hand as a coach of the NFL. So he leaves his other assistants hanging there, and a couple of kids were going to go to Syracuse. Now that Marrone has left, they decided they're going elsewhere. Bottom line is Schaefer now is the coach down there for the football program. We all know they're going in the ACC in the fall. Well, guess what? You know, the old draft, and I call it a college draft. I don't even call it a signing day. I think that's a joke. It is literally a meat market. What the colleges do is they go after kids who've got skill sets. Basically, they rank you 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. If you're 5, baby, you're a can't-miss superstar in their minds. They do statistics, their weight, their height, their speed. They do it all on these high school kids. They give you a 5. 5 is the best. 4 is pretty darn good. You're going to be a superstar. A 3, you got a shot to make it good. A 2, maybe you'll end up in the badminton course at school. And a 1, goodbye. You shouldn't go. All right, that's the way they rank them. And I've always said on this show that SU has the problem of not gaining any 4s or 5s. They probably have gotten a 4, maybe. I don't know if they ever got a 5. But they get a lot of 3s. They get a bunch of 2s. The point is, the National Meat Market Day last week, the National Signing Day, the purists, the analysts who look at kids coming out of high school to go to universities, colleges, there's 122 that play Division I football. You know where Syracuse ranks after the National Meat Market Day? 72nd. That's not a lot of respect. That means they didn't do a great job in bringing in, quote-unquote, horses. Doesn't mean these kids that are 2s and 3s won't emerge as great players. I'm not saying that. Statistically, these people who look at this, and believe me, there's a million on the website. If you ever want to pull up, look at their rankings. They do everything. They know exactly your body makeup. They want you to know that they think they know who's got the best crop coming in. Yes, Alabama's got a bunch of 5s. What a shock. The SEC pounds away. They get a bunch of people. Why? They won the national championship 7 years in a row. Success breeds success. If you're a great player in high school, you want to play for the best teams in the country. My point is Syracuse got ranked 72nd out of a $122. I'm not making this stuff up. Those are stats. Plus, they even took it further and ranked Syracuse 12th out of 14 teams in the ACC for the amount of good kids bringing in the program, meaning only Georgia Tech and Boston College were ranked below Syracuse for bringing in studs. We'll have to wait and see if the purists are right. Based on what they're saying, it could be a rocky road for Mr. Schaefer and the Orange as they get ready to participate in a brand new league called the ACC, because according to these so-called experts, they don't think Syracuse attracted enough horses to bring him in. We'll have to wait and see. Again, these are purist people who do this for a living, and we'll have to wait and see if they're accurate or not. And while we talk about that, Doogie, of course, is in Buffalo, making more money, smile on his face, and we'll have to wait and see if that turns into winning down there in Buffalo. And by the way, speaking of Buffalo, I must tell you, I got to laugh. I always I always knew that rich people do not make stupid decisions. Donald Trump, love him or hate this guy, he's a hell of a businessman. He's a hell of a real estate guy. You got to give him his due. He's written 1 million books. They've all been bestsellers. This guy is a billionaire. Billionaires normally don't make dumb mistakes. And I was kind of thinking in the back of my mind, with Buffalo's contract running out, with them going across the border to Toronto to play one home game, that Mr. Rogers' neighborhood up there, Rogers Center, he owns about half of Canada. He's a billionaire plus. And I'm thinking to myself, if I'm Rogers, I know I hate the Bills, so I will be honest with you. I would never re-sign up for another 5 years. I don't want that team coming across the border. Let's look at some stats. They've been there 5 years. They've lost 4 out of 5. They have been embarrassed by 30 to 45 points in 3 of the 5. They are selling tickets for Buffalo Bill games in Toronto $4, $5 an hour before game time. They're drawing flies in the stadium. I'm wondering, this Rodgers, who's a billionaire, could not possibly re-up that deal with Russ Brandon and the Bills organization. Guess what? He did. Shockingly, why would Rodgers sign up again to have Buffalo come to Toronto once a year? It defies logic. Rodgers must know something that I'm not aware of. Maybe he's got a different look on Doug Marrone and the Bills organization. Okay? They haven't made a playoff in 13 years. They haven't had a winning record in 8 years. Those are pretty alarming stats. What would make you sign the dotted line to give the Bills organization millions of dollars for them to come up for one game a year? Let's see if they know something that I'm not. And again, billionaires and millionaires, normally smart business people who are rich, normally don't make stupid mistakes and sign up when they shouldn't. Time will tell. Hey, by the way, kudos goes out to Coach Mike Neer of the Hobart College basketball program. We had our buddy, the hockey coach, on last week, Mark Taylor. Now we got Coach Neer talking about him. What an outstanding sports program that Hobart has. Their basketball program has been playing phenomenal. But individually, Coach Mike Neer, 600th win against Union the other night. In overtime, knocking off Union. Why is that important? That gave him over 600 wins. He is only the 14th Division III coach to attain that mark. Mike Neer of Hobart. We spotlight you this morning on Weber on Sports. Mike's been around. We're going to try to get Mike to come on the show. But what an outstanding accomplishment from Mike Neer. Over 600 wins in Division III basketball, and he's only got 13 other people that have achieved that mark. Let's talk about the world of golf. You know, I've always been a fan of Rory McIlroy. I watched Rory years ago when he was playing on the European Tour. He's such a nice young man, great parents in Northern Ireland. Turns out to be number one in the world. And, of course, a few months ago, he opened up his tour in Saudi Arabia, and big announcement. He, like Tiger, have decided to sign with Nike. He's going to have the balls from Nike, the hats, the socks, the gloves, the clubs, the putter, all Nike. Now, why would he do that? Well, it's $200 million for 10 years. $20 million a year for changing equipment. $20 million a year for 10 years. He's got to represent Nike in all facets. Now, I'm sitting home thinking, and of course, I spend too much time. Thank God I work at the Thruway because I can't spend more time at home because I get these weird ideas. If I'm Rory McIlroy, you know what my definition of a rich person is? A definition from Weber for a rich person is as follows. One that can write thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of checks and not put them down in your register. That, to me, is when you're rich. When you can open up your checkbook and say, okay, I got to give this guy $8,000. $8,000. 00/100. Sign it, hand it to the person. And they don't put it in a register. Now, I don't know about you, but if I got $321 in my checking account and I spend a check for $21, I put down check number 5050, $28, balance $300. Isn't that what you do? Rich people don't have to do that. They just write them. $50,000? No problem. $100,000? No problem. My point is, Rory McIlroy, at the tender age of 23, has more money than he could ever spend without the Nike contract. He made $8.7 million last year on the U.S. Tour. How many times he play here? 15. He made a few million in Europe. So that's what, 12 million? Not counting 30 to 50 million for endorsements before Nike approached him. My point is, now he changed his clubs. He played like a pig, by the way, with the Nike equipment. I should point this out. 75 down the road. Hit it everywhere. Couldn't find it off the tee. Lousy iron play. Couldn't make a putt. I'm asking the question, what would make a 23-year-old kid who's number one in the world change equipment? Doesn't need the money. I just got through telling you. He doesn't have to put the amount of his checks in the register. He can write it for any amount and not worry about it. What would make you do that? Because Tiger's representing Nike? I know $200 million is a lot of money, but Rory's already got a lot of money. Rory McIlroy must get 20 requests every week from companies around this globe to represent him. He's a great kid. He's got a great girlfriend and a Wozniacki tennis player. She's a Dow. He's got more money than he could possibly ever spend. But then he decides to change his equipment. Now, granted, he's only been out once. And my question is, if you're 23 and you're number one in the world, why aren't you playing golf? He's not expected to play this week in Riviera. Next week is the World Golf Championship match play. We expect to see him there. I guess I'm confused. I don't understand how people think. Yeah, I know $200 million. Yeah, I know he has a manager and a whole bunch of assistants. And they say, hey, Rory, $200 million. Hey, baby, a lot of cash. But he's already got it. And he's guaranteed to have a ton of money the rest of his life. This kid is phenomenal. I guess I am totally confused. Are you surprised at that? So my question is, yes, $200 million is an awesome amount of money. I can't relate to that, but I can think it's got to be an awesome amount of money. But if you've got millions and millions and millions of dollars in the bank, who cares about $200 million more? All right, let me get off that topic. That got me upset as well. By the way, speaking of getting upset, I bring up things on this show that I know that drive you crazy, the viewer, and I must bring up something that drives me nuts. Today, Jim and me have decided today is the 11th of February. Christmas was December 25th. Hello about the lights out there. I drive around the Finger Lakes, and I see lights out on the Christmas trees out in front of your properties. Enough already. Come on. Take them down. You want me to come over and take them down for you? It's over. Santa is in the North Pole. Do we need to see Christmas lights mid-Feb? I'm driving on the road yesterday, almost went off the road. If you got a business or you got a residential home, whatever, and you still got your Christmas lights up outside or inside, take them down. You're taking the spirit of Christmas away by leaving them up. It's February. We're talking Valentine's Day. I had to get that out. That drives me nuts. You like these things that drive me crazy? I like to share them with you on this show. Oh, speaking of driving me crazy, now Jim's going to like this one because it's right above his business. This town board of Seneca Falls, I like those folks that represent the town since we're no longer a village. I got to admit, though, I'm not in favor of this no right on red, all right? I live on State Street, so I come down State Street, and Jim's chuckling. I want to go right on red. I've been going right on red. Jim's over there nodding his head. For about 50 years I've been doing that. Started driving when I was 16. 52 years I've been taking right on red out of state on the fall. All of a sudden I got this big sign, no right on red. I know this is not news that just happened, but come on, why? Why the change? I'm not familiar with major crashes at that intersection. So I'm just throwing out a comment to our town board of Seneca Falls, maybe to relook at that issue. For the dog, what's the big deal? I pull up like Jim does, and I go there all the time because I live, and I have to come down past the clearance, and I want to go. The car wants to go. My wife thinks it, by the way. She doesn't agree with me on most anything anyways, but she agrees we should stop, wait for the light to turn. I'm anxious. I want to get moving. I look toward the left. I don't see any cars. I want to turn my vehicle right and go. What's wrong with that? We've been doing that for 50 years. All of a sudden, we got to stop. Oh, Mamma Mia. Come on, help me out, will you? The town board of Seneca Falls. You guys can do, and ladies, can do a better job coming up with decisions that impact us. Well, let's see. What else we got to do? Well, I got the Christmas lights. Oh, by the way, let's see. Oh, it's 10 o'clock, so we got a few more minutes. But, you know, there's something that really does drive me crazy, and there's a lot of things this morning that have driven me crazy as why I've commented about the Christmas lights and the right on red. This Ray Lewis phenomenon. Come on. Come on. Ray Lewis is a bum. Everybody's got Ray Lewis second next to Pope Benedict. Ray Lewis was involved in a double murder. Hello? Is anybody out there in FingerLakes1.com land? The guy was involved in a double murder several years ago. Look it up. No. You know what happened, don't you? He was involved. He was implicated. He was indicted. He plea bargained. He got off pretty easy. He was involved. You read the transcripts, which I have read. He was involved. My theory on law is, and I follow law very closely, that if Jim Centercroby's my attorney and we get a plea bargain for the district attorney, we're going to take it. Why is that? It's lesser charges. You don't get really the severe penalty. And oh, by the way, you avoid the trial cost, avoid all that hullabaloo. Ray Lewis was involved with a double murder. Is it something that I'm missing in this? I know I'm not a Harvard graduate. I'm an MA graduate, 63 average and 63. I understand that. But why are we celebrating Ray Lewis like he's the next coming of ice cream? Is he going to be a new flavor? Give me a break. Comes out with that Superman move of his. I'm going to gag. I'm sorry. To me, he's a bum. He should have been in a slammer. If that was me or Jim, we would have been in Attica for 15 to 20. Kathleen and Mary would have visited us once every 7 years. The point is, if that has not a superstar named Ray Lewis, if it was just me and Jim Sendergrobe, we'd have been taken away forever. Plea bargain? Are you kidding me? They would have never offered just a couple of peasants like him and me. The point is, this guy got away with murder. And everybody, Ray Lewis. Oh, Ray Lewis is retiring. Who cares? He's a bum. I'm sorry. He is a bum. And if you think otherwise, you better have your head checked out. I'll make the appointment for you. Well, let's talk about some area high school teams that have done phenomenal so far. There's a couple of games left on our calendar here at Finger Lakes One. Let's give some kudos going out. Boys basketball, of course, you know, Geneva's had a great year. Great year. They lead the Finger Lakes East. Obviously, I'm not telling you something you don't already know. Naples having a good season. Western leaders in boys basketball. How about this one? Clyde Savannah Lions will be there broadcasting on Wednesday night. Dave Barnick with the call, along with Matt Verkey, will be checking that game out on Wednesday night. That should be a humdinger. Elsewhere in the world of local sports, let's give some credit as well. Girls basketball, Waterloo, another sensational season, 14-1. Harley Allendale Columbia in Finger Lakes East action. Waterloo and Finger Lakes East. Harley Allendale Columbia, Finger Lakes West with a beautiful record of 12-1. Wayne County Lions and Gananda, records of 14-1. Let's talk about some bowling action. Finger Lakes East boys bowling action. Kudos goes out to the Newark bowling team from Weber on Sports. And also Finger Lakes West. How about the Bloomfield boys, huh? They're in first place with a record of 65-5. How about Wayne County? North Rolls-Wolcott leading the way in their section. Girls bowling action. Newark, talk about a powerhouse. Girls and boys. And in Finger Lakes West, how about the Bloomfield girls bowling team? How do you like 70-0? That's pretty impressive. And North Rolls-Wolcott rounding out my look at girls bowling leading their league. So all of the schools, congratulations. What an outstanding season you've had thus far. And my granddaughter Izzy Campbell was participating with the Geneva cheerleaders. Excuse me, she cheers for the Geneva school. They were in Waterloo for the Finger Lakes Championships held in Waterloo. I understand they did a great job. And my wife Mary, of course, my daughter Sam, and Izzy were obviously participating. Kudos to Geneva. They finished second. Mid-Lake Screaming Eagles won the Eastern Sector. So congratulations to the Screaming Eagles and to my granddaughter Izzy and to all the fantastic cheerleaders of Geneva. Well done, finishing second place. Newark finished third. Pelmac finished fourth. In the West, it was Red Jacket winning it, Bloomfield second, and Dundee finished third. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, 2 weeks from today, a special Weber on Sports show. We bring back a couple of old pals. One of my great sponsors, Dick Marshall, Marshall's Auto Sales, and my classmate of 63, Teddy Flock. Why are they coming in? Well, they're going to talk about Go Daddy Go, and we're also going to recap the 2013 Daytona 500. The Great American Race takes place in a couple of weeks from beautiful Florida. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, a reminder, Penn Yan will be at Waterloo tomorrow night. We're right here on FingerLakes1.com. Brendan Harrington, Kevin Korzanuski with the call. Wednesday night, that Lions game is in Clyde, or Clyde in Lions versus Clyde in Clyde, one of my old stomping grounds. Dave Barnick with the play-by-play, along with legendary Matt Verkey. So that's going to be our final wrap-up season, our games for the season. And I know, speaking for Jim, he's been thrilled with the participation and thrilled with the sponsorships that we have gotten. We thank those folks, and I've had a chance to check out most of the webcasts or podcasts, as Jim calls them, and certainly they have been outstanding. And to David Barnick and Brendan Harrington and to Matt Verkey and Kevin Korzanuski, And my buddy Jeremy Hunt, Mr. Cameraman of the Finger Lakes, kudos. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to be a part of that this year because of my weird schedule at the Thruway, but hopefully that'll change in upcoming years. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have a great day. And before I sign off, I know this is a big week. Okay, so take those Christmas lights down. Let's get on with Valentine's Day. Your loved ones, whether it's your girlfriend, your wife, or your mom, or your grandmom, time to go out, get some cards, get some roses, take them out to dinner, make them feel really special. To me, my wife, I should be treating her something special every day of the year, not just one. But again, do it right this year and this week. Make sure you do something for your loved one. Happy Valentine's Day to all of my female checkers out that check out the dog here on a Monday. Take care, everybody. We'll catch you next week. That's a look at sports my way.